these types of events. We are recovering. The President appointed a task force to manage the recovery and rebuilding efforts. The task force is chaired by me, and we have representation from public, private, and civil society in the task force. We have 8 subcommittees that are looking at the various aspects that need rebuilding and need recovery, and we are ready to move on. And in that sense, 26 for us was a year in which we really wanted to focus on growth, on sustaining the macroeconomic fundamentals that we had achieved in 2025. And we are hopeful for this. And this is where I think you come in. We are very keen on establishing a transparent investment climate, an accountable investment climate, ruling out corruption. Again, Minister Anil Jayanta will tell you of some of the initiatives that we have already undertaken. And this year in June, we are hosting an expo. And I would like to extend an invitation to all of you to come, to visit. As you know, even without an expo, Sri Lanka is a country worth visiting, as I'm sure some of you know already. But do come and participate in the expo, and we look forward to continuing a really good relationship and looking forward to many more initiatives from Switzerland in Sri Lanka. We think of Sri Lanka as a story of hope and optimism in this very chaotic world that we are living in today. Sri Lanka offers a story and a narrative that change is possible, that democracy is still alive and well, and that good governance can mean something, and can actually precipitate change that is centered on the people that governments are elected to serve, but also that these ideas can be upheld, not just because we function on our own, but through cooperation and solidarity and collaboration with global partners. So thank you again for this opportunity, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on how we can work together in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister. I would pass on the words now to the Deputy Finance Minister. Please.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. I hope that the Honourable Prime Minister's brief the current the situation of Sri Lanka and what we are supposed to do, and the future projection. I'll just give you a very brief idea from investor perspective, so that you would like to know more. So basically, investors operate in a wide array in different forms. Some may financiers, financial providers, some may be real manufacturers, and different type of operations are there. So basically, it's a fact that investors look for a better return, sustainable return, and low risk, and your confidence in the investment culture. Already you have some assessment about Sri Lanka and our government and future potential for investment as well from your assessment, information that you have gathered, and the way you have read our government. But from our side, so I'll also just give you a little bit information who we are, what we are supposed to do. Because at the very beginning, it is a fact that we have been labeled, even before we formed the government, even after forming the government, we have been labeled as extremists, more violent. So some diplomats, when we were just having discussions now, some diplomats just told me, we were shocked too, hear the news that in Sri Lanka, the extremist party, has captured power. So they were really drawn at that time. So after 1 year, the performance, now they are really happy to see how Sri Lanka is governed by respecting the good governance, democracy, and everything. So we face lots of challenges. The first challenge already the Prime Minister explained. So how this we could achieve the stabilization. That was the biggest challenge. We did it from two fronts. One is the fiscal consolidation, and we did it. Not only that, it was the year 2025 was the year in the history that reported the highest, highest in a way, not the highest, like that the no year has surpassed the estimated government revenue. So that's the year we surpassed by 10%. So that's a great achievement that gave us a big breathing space. As a result, we were able to build huge cash buffer. That is how we quickly reacted to this disaster. The other area is the external buffer, external sector. It was gradually being ruined, but we were able to, within a year, to bring it up to a level, not by restricting the economy, like you can build your reserves without importing, but we open up importation, vehicle importation, debt repayments, and all those things. And on the other hand, we expanded revenue generations as a result. We strongly believe that we are on a comfortable seat. The challenge now is to achieve the medium term, the growth, sustainable and inclusive growth, more than 7%. It's challenging, but key driver is nothing but trade and investment. So where you guys can be part of this journey. And there are lots of opportunities available. Strategic priorities are there in the energy sector, we can discuss later. And the tourism also has been identified as another important area. And the value-added industries, especially mineral-based, even though we are not that frequent within which, so there are certain opportunities. There are the elements are there. Then we focus on these value-added industries and logistics. Another the area we can think of. Prioritize from some other opportunities you may suggest during our discussions. The other side is investor environment. What do you want? It's a fact that everyone likes to have a conducive environment, a level playing field. When investors deal with governments and investors engage in different projects, it can happen in different ways. When you have so much connection with the government, maybe favorism, so that's also one way. So our policy is to not to favor selected and to discriminate any investors, but to create a level playing field. To that, the perspective, already the digital economy is on its agenda. We try hard to integrate all these platforms and agencies together to facilitate investors. And two main investor facilitation projects are going on. Hope that we will be able to launch in this year. One is a single window to facilitate for the foreign investment. The other one is the national trade single window to facilitate exporters. So, target, we hope that will be launched in 2026. And in this year, we will enact this Investor Protection Act. Some changes and amendments have been already brought into the legal framework. New amendments will also be brought in. Mainly investor protection is needed. And the relationship between investors and other stakeholders should be on the kind of democratic platforms. And taxation is another area. Current the tax structure is complicated. By the time we took the government, we made some changes during the year, but in the future also we would do such changes in line with the basic principles of taxation. Fair taxation, convenient and simple. We comply with all these principles. And we do not have an idea of just make changes and do changes from time to time. Then investors can easily plan their businesses, cash flows, and reduce the risks and the volatility. So this is how we have thought of the investor, the environment and the facilitation. With that, I hope I'll conclude, leaving you to raise more questions and things. And one thing on behalf of Prime Minister and the government, I can say we formed the government, we came into politics with a genuine reason. That is none other than to transform Sri Lankan society to a better place. So we uphold that the mandate, and we will never conflict our personal interest with the public interest. We hope that we have been doing this thing in the future also. We are capable of doing this thing. So your support, your contributions are vitally important. In the future, we will contribute together and bring the benefits of this chance prosperity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's really refreshing to hear you both, and I can only encourage you to do this more often, to tell the world how you change. And I hope this venue here in Davos has encouraged you as well to do that, so that you are heard in the world. We are insiders for Sri Lanka, but we admire your country and have been there for over 20 years. But the rest of the world doesn't. So I think we can maybe take a little bit from the man who spoke yesterday, the big marketer. Doesn't have to be that extreme, but I think you are a wonderful country, and you do good, and you have to talk about it. So I can only encourage you to continue to do that. With this, I would like to maybe break the ice with the first question and then leave it to the podium. To you as well. I cannot resist as an economist and asset manager to get what's happening in Sri Lanka in contact with the stock market, which has been thriving in the last 2 years. And, sometimes is known as a precursor for the actual economic development in about 6 to 18 months. And Sri Lanka's indices last year rallied over 26%. Previous years were good. So they anticipate an economic recovery in the months to come. Inflation is down at 2.1%. Unemployment rate at 4.3%. Do you view this already as a sign in the real economy that the market is right?
Okay. Yeah. So, coming to the investment and stock market and the real economy, as far as the economic performances, the indicators that show that the right stabilization is there, but much more is required to attract and promote investments. The place is the capital market to form the required the capital for real investments. To some extent, we know that the stock markets and financial markets is a place to have a kind of return, and it shouldn't be a gambling place. So in the past, there were lots of the allegations about the stock market, about the insider dealing and all. Now we have been able to stabilize it And again, the regulator's task is independently done. And that is the reason why the return in a way like exceptional return could be due to the reason in the past the market was really, really down. Now it is really picking up. And now the regulator doesn't leave a single room for manipulation. So a couple of weeks' time, you may have noticed one IPO, the Wealth Trust IPO. What happened? The price was just 7 rupees. But on the same day, so it went up to 25,000. So whether it is a manipulation or mistake, you must have already noticed. But the one thing is, that market was almost about to break. Unfortunately, there was no circuit breaker for the IPOs. But the regulator intervened correctly and purged all the transactions. We are investigating as of now. It has been revealed that it's not a deliberate one, but we are looking at that. So capital market would be a place for you to invest reliably, even for trading, based on information. What matters is the information, not the speculation or intuitive the practices. So we will do all these required things from the government side, and again for future investment as well. And government has an idea of floating some of the state-owned enterprises within an umbrella of holding company in the future, maybe in different SOEs are there. So this is the plan for stock market and the government, what is called state-owned enterprises. Yes.
Thank you for these clear answers. I hope there will also be some privatizations going on to make.
Yeah, in a way, like the word privatization is also wrongly interpreted in Sri Lanka. The privatization, when the ordinary person in Sri Lanka hears the privatization, it's simple, the cheap selling off of assets. In a way, we do not like to hold this word as privatization. We prefer to have restructuring and reforms in state-owned enterprises. There are many avenues. Now, legal reforms will be there for public-private partnerships, joint ventures, and strategic business activities likewise. Because when we say the privatization, lots of resistance is there. What we prefer is to have these joint collaborations and partnering. I think the opportunities are open.
Very good. Thank you. Maybe we have some first questions from the audience.
Yeah. First of all, Excellency, thank you very much for having us this morning here for Sunday breakfast. Actually, I'm Swiss. I've never been to Davos because I was always scared of the traffic here as well, but I made it. So I have different hats on, I'm working for Impact Investment Solutions. We have our own foundations. I'm also here with two nice gentlemen from the International Spiritual Council for Transforming Humanity. My basic question is, education is very important in an emerging market and growing market like yours. And I heard from some people, also from your system, that you place particular emphasis on education. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What the primary goals are over the next couple of years?
Right. Thank you for that. This is my hobby horse. So please stop me if I talk too much. Sri Lanka has a history of a really strong education system. We invested in education very early on, from the 1930s. And we have a publicly funded education system from grade 1, starting at grade 1, right up to your undergraduate level. It's free. So as a result, we very early on, by about the 1950s, we were able to really increase our literacy, increase access to education. Enrollment at the primary level is almost 97% or 97, 98%. And it's equal for girls and boys, which is very unusual in South Asia, as you well know. And we have good human capital. This is our greatest strength. We've produced very sound professionals that don't only serve Sri Lanka but serve many parts of the world. However, what has happened over the years is that there's a growing inequality in the quality of education. Right? So not everybody is able to access a high quality education. And increasingly, the quality of the education you're able to access is dependent on your sort of family background, economic status, all of these things, right? Also, there's a mismatch between the skills that are required today and the skills that are being taught within our education system. Our education system is once again yet another legacy of colonial rulers. We follow the British model of education, and it's very exam-oriented. So increasingly within the schools, the education system caters to teaching to pass exams. And that's the main focus. So we want to change this. These are the main things that we want to address. We want to be able to use the resources that we are investing in education more meaningfully, so that we focus on the quality of education, which means investment then also in the human resources within education, which is teachers, so making sure they get good salaries, good training, that their professional development is continuous. This is one aspect. Infrastructure development, so that across the board, schools generally all schools have at least the minimum level of necessary infrastructure, including digital infrastructure. And a change in the curriculum and the education model, where we want to introduce a vocational pathway fairly early on and allow for students, similar to what is happening here, allow for students to be able to choose either a vocational pathway or a traditional academic pathway, but both pathways could also lead to higher education and degrees and diplomas or what have you after 13 years of education. Currently, we have a TVET sector, but it doesn't have the same social value as the more traditional academic pathway. Primarily also because the vocational pathway is seen as the pathway that's open for students who don't make it to the academic pathway, right? So there's always a kind of a lower recognition given to students who choose TVET. So this is also one of the main changes we want to make. Plus all Davos sort of was all about reskilling, new jobs, the uncertainty with jobs. There's a lot of discussion around this. And countries such as ours are very cognizant of the complications of the new job market, AI, all of this, and the impact it will have on the kinds of skills that we need to give our population. But what we think is that I don't think we can ever sort of, keep up with how rapidly things are changing. But that what we really want to focus on is increasing the capacity of our young people, particularly to be able to learn, lifelong learning, so that they work, they may come back for education, but they are able to pursue different paths. And there's more flexibility. You're not sort of fixed in one particular niche, and that you're able to adapt to changing circumstances. So these are kind of some of the changes that we are trying to bring in. We started last year. The new curriculum for grade 1 is being implemented this year. We'll start on the 29th of January. And from next year, we are introducing new curriculum, but also this infrastructure and human resource development, which is about equalizing the opportunities that are currently available. So this is in a nutshell what we are trying to do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Question in the back.
Julian Specker from Mara Systems. First, I'd like to thank thank again for we had the pleasure to host you on Tuesday. And I was overwhelmed about the reactions I got internally from old friends from Sri Lanka. They chatted me a lot. And you asked me for anything that I may give you as a hint to make our opportunities even better in Sri Lanka. And I got some hints from my colleagues. So they were asking about two specific things. One is tax situation. During crisis, we lost a lot of high potentials to other countries. So they went away. And sadly, this did not completely stop. And one reason that they see is tax situation for them, so private tax situation. And another.
You mean to say like private tax in the sense individual income tax?
Exactly, 36% they mentioned.
So progressive rates, okay.
Exactly. And this gives us a hard time in our plans to establish an engineering and IT hub with high-skilled engineers and high-skilled office workers. So that's one thing. And in addition to that, they were asking about this port city hub idea, if this will come true, because they see a huge potential in that to reach our targets.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We will just take that into account and do the right thing, especially when it comes to the port city. Apart from the secondary the businesses, there are opportunities mainly in the financial sector as well for offshore banking and financing. The taxation, as it is told you, some complexities are there. We will look into this one because the current progressive rates, starting from 0 to 36 reaches within 36 reaches within the short limit at 350,000. So we will do that. And the other thing is, now it is a fact that within the global scenario, now tax is not a problem because everyone has to pay tax. How it should be paid and whether it should be complicated or not. Because now OECD, the global tax framework is in operating. And we are ready to expand the double tax, the treaties and agreements and the connection and integration. So whereby to provide the most benefits and concession for the investors. So we'll take it into account. And if possible, we will have more discussions to see how best we can fix it. Thank you.
So, and what I forgot to say, thousands of positive effects.
Oh, yeah, we understand.
I got.
Sure. We do that. Thank you.
So, thank you so much. Here is, we are happy to see here is because we are also our motherland of Sri Lanka. We are more than 35 years in Switzerland. My question is how we are investment, the logistic provide in our country is we won't like to invest in the logistic sector. Is that more information I would know that.
Yeah. As of now, there are actually main four channels. One is the BUI. BUI. So where the particular information is given. In addition, the Ministry of the Ports and Authority. So from time to time, go for EOIs as well. But the general opportunities are displayed the website of CBOI. And the other one is Colombo Port City. So another channel. And generally, like, so that has to go through this secondary or the primary developers. Now, as far as the Colombo, like, the logistics is concerned, Colombo, the port is concerned. Now we have several the terminals. Those terminals are operated through the private sector investments. And we have one with the purely owned by the government. We are exploring the possibilities of joining hands with the private investors to have public-private partnerships or joint ventures. So in the future, the other avenue, one is BOI, Sport City, and public-private partnerships and joint ventures. Apart from that, there is another channel, what we call Strategic Development Act, Strategic Investment and Development Act. Accordingly, we can take such investment to the fast track if that can be considered as a strategically important investment for Sri Lanka. I think logistic operation would be such a strategically important one because of the location and the opportunities that we have. Those factors are concerned. So it's even like Mattala Airport. Don't know whether you have heard about it. In Hambantota, there is a second international airport called Mattala. It's not operating well. Now, the government has decided to call for interest from investors to come out with new proposals to operate it in a better way. Maybe within a week or so, the call will come.
Thank you. Next question, gentleman. Oh, no, yes. Oh, he was first. He was first.
So, Honorable Prime Minister, thank you so much for coming here. I'm blessed to be a grandson of the first professor of pediatrics in Sri Lanka, Professor Sri Silva. So is my granddaughter, and your aunt is staying in the Nazarena where my parents stay. So it's a small world, and Romesh Demel is a cousin of mine, very well known to you. Sri Lanka is very dear to my heart, to be honest. I'm half Sri Lankan, although I don't look like that. Apologize for that. I'm together here with Mitra Panu, who is the founder of it. We want to support and engage in Sri Lanka in the health sector, like we have done that across Europe, across India. And it's something which is very important from our point of view to have this well-being. And I think there's a huge asset in Sri Lanka for that. Second part, as you rightly say, is to educate children on the values. We have done that very successfully in India and would like to also propose that. And the third part is, when I look at tourism in Sri Lanka as a child, and I'm now 62 years, so I have many trips to Sri Lanka, more even than Mark. And for me, it was always a taste of paradise. Now, if I look at the tourism today in Sri Lanka, it is somehow also painful, although the numbers are very good. But I believe we can do something in terms of quality of the people. Like in the German-speaking part of Europe, there's 1 million people who are interested in Ayurveda. I know I'm friendly to the Jetwings owners. So like that, there are so much synergies, which I would like to get your guidance. Whom should I talk or whom should we talk to make this movement, which my grandfather started with the Family Planning Association 60 years back? How can we get ahead or work together with you?
Thank you for that. You're right about the tourism industry in that we are also trying to shift from a focus on numbers to quality. One of the areas in the tourism sector that we think has huge potential is what you mentioned, the well-being industry. There is already Jetwing is one, but there are also more independent initiatives that really target the well-being hospitality sector. And there's clearly a lot of potential for that, for health and well-being with our local Ayurveda practices, but also other sort of more spiritually inclined packages as well. Right? The other thing that we're doing within the tourism industry is also to diversify the locations. There are so many relatively unknown locations and sites in Sri Lanka that can easily be more tourist friendly, and this will reduce the stress on some of the better known locations, which we also need to protect for years on. I mean, everybody knows Sigiriya, but Sigiriya also needs to be archaeologically managed and preserved. So we can't, so what we're trying to do is we are trying to, what's what I'm looking for, to rehabilitate and make more popular thousands of other such locations, so that we reduce the stress on particular sites that we are currently experiencing. We would also like higher end tourism, rather, we don't want to sound elitist and say we don't want backpackers, but that's, we are trying to focus on the quality and the spending and the revenue rather than simply numbers. But in the initial stages, numbers were also important because we had dropped so significantly. Right? And this gave confidence. This gave people the confidence that this is an area that you can invest in, this is an area that is attractive. So yes, there's potential for collaboration in the health and well-being sector. I would say it's the Tourism Development Authority that you need to contact and initiate discussions with.
In addition, yes, tourism authority can be contacted, but if a particular proposal is there, so we have a separate now economic management committee. By and large, in general, we look into that. So you can send that proposal to the finance ministry as well.
Okay. Because the one thing which we are also looking into is to build a peace village in Sri Lanka. I have been in June 83, I have been in Galle. And I mean, I don't need to tell you what this was there. It was an 18-year young boy that time. And a peace village will limelight to the world, to the global world, a difference of resolving conflicts. There are always conflicts. But I feel like what I can also talk with the previous speaker, I feel that you are general people and you want to change that. So that's how we could support.
Thank you. For the matter of time, we have 2.5 minutes left. So I would like short questions and short answers, if that's possible, so that you can head to the airport.
Shall we take all the questions and then I'll respond?
Yes.
Okay.
So, thank you very much. My name is Eric Ashok Lirigava. I'm half Swiss, half Indian. And I wear two hats. I'm at the American Express Switzerland, the head of marketing, and also at the University of St. Gallen at the Indian Competence Center. So given that role, I have two questions, and also because I just visited your country. It's 1 week in Algalma, and your country says you'll come back for more, which I'm here now. The first question is your government engaging with the Swiss government or EFTA to expand economic cooperation, and in which areas? And secondly, as an Indian, as India already has with Sri Lanka closest economic partnerships, what are the new opportunities do you see for HNI private investors, including families, looking at long-term presence in Sri Lanka?
Next question.
Hello, Peter van Veen. I'll talk to both hats, especially the education one. We were here in Education House launching the Teach Billions Impact Fund to build education, innovation, infrastructure across the world. This is one topic that I've been engaged with Sri Lanka since 2019, but we haven't found the funding for it. The funding has always, so now I'm engaging with the World Bank and ADB to see if we can make that happen. But I would like to continue this conversation at a later point.
Sure.
Yeah, very small. I am Yogesh Mandhani. I am President for Sustainable Steel Manufacturing Association of India. I have my own steel plants. The thing is that Sri Lanka has a coastal thing and the ports are available. So can you think of creating a circular economic park in Sri Lanka? And we would be very eager and happy to be a part of that and invest into that. Because European Union has come up with CBAM, which says that every goods should have a minimum carbon footprints. And for that we need a recycling activity to be done. And the ports help in doing that. So if any way if you can think of creating a circular economic park, we would be most interested. Thank you.
Well, short.
My name is Weston Smith. I'm an American veteran turned financier. So as you asked for investment in Sri Lanka, my main question is, we've heard about infrastructure, taxes, education. What are you doing to bolster or strengthen the Sri Lankan military? As you're reforming a lot of these other current topics, that would be my question.
Now, one last question.
Thank you. I'm Ben Banerjee. So we have been developing countries on the impact and sustainability, and that's something I missed in this conversation. How can you have policies which can support us to come in, set up businesses, invest in it, to develop Sri Lanka? I don't know Sri Lanka very well. I've never been there. So that was my question. And also, how can we use the media? For example, we have the CNN. Can we bring CNN to Sri Lanka to increase the credibility of Sri Lanka on the business and investment world and tourism also? So how much is the policy playing on this topic?
Okay, thank you. Let me quickly take a few questions and then Madhikari will answer some of the others. With regard to how we view India and our strategic location, I think what we want to encourage people to see Sri Lanka as an entry point to the Indian market, right? And for the Indian investors to also see that. Because our own market is small, but we are strategically located, and we could be the hub that it forms the base from which you can enter other markets, and we offer, I think, that capacity with our human capital and also with our infrastructure and our regulatory environment. So that's something I think that we can offer. It will probably answer the more specific questions. In terms of the military, we are in the process of making our military or redefining the role of the military in a way, because as we experienced in the cyclone, post-cyclone, also the military was heavily involved in relief efforts. And we see that as potentially an important part for the military to play in the future. Our military is involved in peace work with the UN, and this is also something that we pursue. We want our military to be more technologically adept, so we are investing in ensuring that our military is up to speed with technology, because again, that's an area of risk as well, right? So these are the ways. We're not looking to enlarge our military, but we are looking to make it more efficient and more skilled, given the changing circumstances and the changing role that the military may have to play.
Just quick answers. One is the opportunities just already answered. Mainly, Sri Lanka doesn't have a big market, so now we need to think of how your investments will connect to the global supply chain. So this is where we look for, maybe in the semiconductors and the value-added industries. So already we are developing kind of bilateral agreements and all those things. So we can use those channels and to operate within this global supply chain in numerous ways. So that is one. So specific areas, even the energy sector, our potential is roughly around 50 the gigawatts. But our requirement is, even our production capacity becomes double, it would be around less than 10. So the potential is there, but how do we utilize it? We need to go either for green energy, green the ammonia or green hydrogen projects, or to promote data centers. So that has been taken as one of the key priorities in Sri Lanka. We explore the opportunities. And again, I just want to tell you, within this building networks, infrastructure, roads, railways, the ports and all, the transportation, the electrification of transportation has also been identified as another the key area. And the suggestion is, you welcome this circular economy, this is very important one, but we know that there are lots of challenges. As you said, we just think of how best we can start this particular park pertaining to a particular industry, maybe steel also. I think that would be really right. And the tourism sector, CNNA,
has already
been to Sri Lanka. And there are no any barriers.
They said they want to come back.
Yeah, of course. So there are no any policy restrictions. So we welcome and further we facilitate. We'll keep in touch how best we can facilitate. And tourism, already like we explained, we look at tourism as an experience or within this wide array of different experiences. So if diversity can be experienced in Sri Lanka, we would facilitate and bring more investment. Thank you very much. I hope we answered.
Yes. Do you have encouraging policies for investors to come in for sustainable?
In the sustainable
sector.
Yes. Actually, green energy, sustainable. Even we have developed a strategy called Green Financing Strategic Framework for 2026-2030, in which we look for how or what industries are therefore sustainable the investment and sustainable financing models as well. Maybe the new concepts, like green bonds, and what matters in the future is not the short-term profits the seeking, but rather the long-term sustainability and inclusivity.
Thank you very much for this lively discussion, and I'm very thrilled to witness the great interest that you have. I'm very surprised also, and I thank you all for answering these questions thoroughly, and hope we can continue this. I'm sorry we have to break now, so that Honorable Prime Minister can take their journey down to Zurich. But I'm sure we will continue the dialogue like this, and hopefully also next year we'll be able to include Sri Lanka in the Swiss Asia Night. We were at Indonesia night yesterday. It's amazing what they do, and I think we can do a lot also for Sri Lanka next time. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and good journey back to Sri Lanka. Thank you.